Wow. All right.
Welcome, everyone. Okay, so we hope you guys had a pleasant evening so far. Before we begin, we have a quick question to ask you. When was the last time you ate something so insanely good you couldn't help but close your eyes to savor the moment? This experience has been all but forgotten by the world during our busy, stress-filled lives. Don't get us wrong, we know we love food, but sometimes we zone out while eating it and don't have the chance to really enjoy it. Restaurants are guilty of this too. So many themed locations get so caught up with the design and atmosphere, they forget the most important part. Think about it. Rainforest Cafe, even Disney's newest restaurant, Space 220. So much time, effort, and imagineering went into it. But in their reviews, many are unlikely to go back because they forgot to really focus on the most important part, the food. Our new life post-pandemic is right around the corner. So what better time to reimagine your relationship with good food than the present? That's where we come in. We are proud to introduce Imamu, the new Friday night tradition for passionate foodies. Imamu is a massive celebration of the world's cultures and food, all wrapped up in an immersive package and laced with a little something we like to call tasteology. If you're like us and have an affinity for food science and watched maybe a few too many cuisine documentaries, you may be familiar with the concept of taste theory, or the fact that every dish has a balance of certain flavor profiles: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, spicy, and umami, that special one that really packs a punch. Every ingredient lends to a flavor palette, creating something similar to a dish's fingerprint, making it different from every other dish. Seeing it on the screen is one thing, but what if we took away all these percentages? If you were to eat your favorite meal, would you be able to guess the exact ingredients based on the taste alone? Would you be able to correctly guess the taste profile down to the single percent? Sounds challenging, I know. But that's probably because you haven't had to think about it in a while. You haven't had the chance to really savor your food, and that's the experience we want to provide. We want to mend your relationship with food through appreciation and education. But how is it going to work? Guessing percentages, going through ingredient lists, don't worry, we've got it all covered. To give you an idea of how it works, let's guide you through the average Imamu experience. The start of your Imamu journey is a little different from what you would initially expect. You first have to download an app, the Imamu app, to be more specific. This app is your guide through the Imamu system and is entirely essential to having your evening go smoothly. So after downloading it, you're welcome to an Imamu platform with open arms, and you're guided to the homepage where you can make a reservation for your next Imamu experience. Looks like our friend Sora Wilson has already made a reservation for us. So let's see what they've cooked up for their friends. They've selected Friday evening reservation, which are peak hours and perfect timing. It looks like they were able to successfully list all their friends and their dietary restrictions in advance. Oh, and they even remember Skylar's allergy to peanuts. Since substitutions would mess up the Imamu game, submitting your allergies and dietary restrictions in advance is really important and makes for a way smoother experience. And now Christina will continue to talk about more of what we are.
Thanks, Pui. This is going to be Sora's first time at Imamu, so we may as well give them a little hint of what's in store. When they arrive, they're going to encounter the well-designed Imamu structure featuring curved walls and a clean, simple look, something that allows the food to really take center stage and shine. They'll enter the building with a warm welcome from our greeter, only to look up and see a tiered boothing system and a large balcony mirroring the layers of taste theory and how much they can add depth to their dish. This isn't even mentioning the massive globe above them with a projected world map that will be highlighting the inspiration countries for this evening's menus. Sora and their friends will be guided to their booth, while most restaurants are tempted to cram their patrons into a single rectangular table for the sake of having more customers. We've purposely elected to go with a circular design, allowing us to house a potential 8 patrons at a single table without breaking a sweat. This design is not only pleasing and inclusive, but features a clear white tabletop that's just begging to be filled. As soon as Sora's group, or Team 8-Bite as they like to call themselves, take a seat, the overhead chandeliers will open to slowly reveal a projector pointing straight down at the tabletop, highlighting everyone's positions with information including their names, point total, meal stage, and more. Team 8 Bytes waiter, as we like to call them, Game Master, will welcome them to Imamu and explain how the game works as they all pull out their phones once again and enter the Imamu platform. To the right of the Home tab, they'll find a tab for the menu. The team will then scan the displayed QR code on their table to gain access to the menu for the evening, at least for the first part of it. First, they'll have to identify what level of difficulty they want to play for their appetizers. Everyone's level of expertise is different, from their food knowledge to their competitive spirit. So the last thing we want to do is push people away with an experience that's too niche. The name of the game is both Imamu and accessibility. If someone wants a classic restaurant experience, they'd have to do is choose the classic level, as if they want to metaphorically dip their toes into the Imamu concept. They can select novel, kicking it up a notch, and there's complex, something we don't recommend unless an individual is very certain. And last but not least, impossible, a level that starts to involve taste modifiers, making everything just that, impossible. The level of difficulty they select determines both their opportunities to gain points and how their menu is displayed. Let's take this creamy tomato risotto as an example. In the classic level, a patron would be able to see the most information possible about their dish, but they have no opportunities to gain points in the next step. In novel, you have a bit less information, but that means you have a couple more opportunities to get points. Following this pattern, we find complex, with basically no information, but a wealth of opportunities to earn points. Same goes for impossible. With this system, we're rewarding those who challenge themselves and take their experience to the next level, quite literally. So let's say Sora decides to take it easy in the first round and go with classic for their appetizers. They confirm their choice, and with the beautiful list of appetizers hosting 2 dishes from each of the 7 continents for a total of 14 wonderfully balanced selections displayed from west to east. Since Sora is a huge fan of fish, they'd probably go for the mahi mahi ceviche, paired with Lebanese cucumbers, coconut flakes, and lime juice. As soon as they lock in their appetizer as their table leader, Sora will be able to see what everyone else has ordered and send it off to the kitchen for prep. Soon enough, the appetizers will start rolling in, and Team 8 Bite will have some amazing dishes to taste and have access to the Imamu Tasteology tab right in the middle. They can start tasting their meal and trying to figure out what's going on with their dish, the ingredients, the taste profile, and more. They'll have the chance to check in and out, only having to lock in their answer before the next round starts. If they're lucky, they'll be able to see how many points are added to their total and where they stand in the competition in comparison to the rest of the table and even the entire restaurant.
Thanks so much, Christina. So I'm going to take over from here. I'm Em, and Team 8 Byte is going to follow this pattern through their main meal and have the added opportunity of using the challenge tab, second from the right. Here, the team will be able to take point shots, which are small shots of broth inspired by dishes from each of the 7 continents, and the 7 total ingredients they can use to boost their total. For each ingredient they guess correctly, a point is added to their total, taking it to a more competitive side. Sora and their friends may be able to compete with one another directly through dueling shots, equally sized sips of deadly strong concoctions. Each of these is entirely non-alcoholic and highlights one of the 6 senses of taste to an overwhelming degree. So if you're confident in your abilities, feel free to bet your available points. Careful though, because the patron who is closer to the actual profile in the challenge will walk away with everything. If it doesn't quite quench your competitive spirit enough though, don't worry, because Sora's group has one more opportunity, the Gauntlet Challenge. Collectively, the table can throw down the gauntlet to another table in an attempt to poach their points, be it with an inferno broth shot, a lemon lime concentrate, or even the bitter dandelion stew. So many point opportunities, but for what purpose? What's the goal in the end? Well, aside from, of course, having a good time, if Sora succeeds in exceeding 25 points at the end of the evening, they'll have their dessert completely comped from their bill. As far as prizes go, that seems like a pretty amazing one, especially considering our list of incredible dessert options from all over the world. Butter mochi from Hawaii, exotic passion fruit mousse from China, or even berry agutek from northern Canada. Our hope for Imamu is that the experience of our patrons isn't restricted to only the restaurant and instead expands past its walls. After each stage of their meal, Team 8 Byte will be invited to rate their enjoyment of the dishes. This rating is both sent to the chefs for improvement of their recipes and stored in the patron's personal profile. Now let's take a look at Sora's experience this evening as an example. They liked their ceviche, but found it a little too sour, so they gave it 4 stars. Their kashek was a bit of a swing and a miss. They had to try it, but who could have known it would have been so bitter? They wound up giving it a 2-star rating. Last but not least, Sora's main meal. They absolutely loved their creamy tomato risotto, giving it an enthusiastic 5 stars. But based on this, the Imamu system will be able to determine that Sora specifically favors food with heavy umami and salt flavors. It is fairly neutral about sour tastes and despises bitter tastes. Using this data, the Imamu system will be able to recommend dishes for future trips. Ones that have specific flavor profiles, it knows to be to Sora's liking. We talk about social media and its algorithms, but rarely has this been applied to food in this specific way. Algorithms shouldn't just be about gathering data, but also positively enhancing a person's experience and giving them more in return. With this newfound information, it's our hope that Sora and people just like them will be able to mend their long-lasting relationship with food and make it more healthy and take it to entirely new heights of taste, understanding, and appreciation of foods that they otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to enjoy. Eating out shouldn't just be for the food, but for the all-encompassing experience. With Imamu, we help everyone taste the limits of flavor, one dish at a time. Thank you so much for your time this evening, and we can't wait to hear what you think about our concept, Imamu.
Thank you, Team 5. Judges, any comments? Any clarifying questions before we move on? All right, seeing that there's none, we're going to give you a minute or two. Oh, Jesse, do you have a question? You've got your hand raised.
Oh, no, this is actually Michael. I was actually going to say I'd be very curious to hear what Alfred thought about this one.
I have lots of notes, and I thought it was I was writing lots of things. What I really wrote down, which I think is really relevant, is, in the world of technology and the apps and things like that, I think your presentation was right on. I think people are using their phones more and more. Everything from the menu being on your app, which I think was mentioned earlier. I thought this was great. So I thought it was very well done. So
great, glad to hear it. Judges, when you're ready and for us to move on, just go ahead and once again, just leave us a little comment so we can make sure we give you all the time you need.